Hey guys, and welcome to my video on how I painted my deathleaper Tyranid. First of all, I'd just like to apologise for the lack of uploads in the past 3 weeks. This is not intentional. I've had a little bit of a health scare, in and out of hospital. Still getting treatment and trying to find out what's wrong. I am good, so for all of you that have been messaging and stuff, thank you. I am good, but I'm still getting treated, so please bear with me. This video is not like my normal ones. I'm not sure what happened when I uploaded it onto my computer. The footage weren't the best, and probably due to me being ill, so I do apologise for that. However, I have managed to salvage enough to be able to give you this tutorial. And also in this tutorial, I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to the base. So I know I keep going on about bases, but this is just going to be a little tease to that. I'm going to show you my painting process for the base. As I always say, if you put enough effort into your base as you do your miniature, overall you're going to have a better looking model. So first up, obviously the base does come with a nice little plastic like display piece. I have glued a little bit of light terrain that I got from a previous model kit, and now what I'm doing is using what I love using for bases is cork. Now cork you can get in all different shapes, sizes. If you just search in your local hobby stores online, you can get sheets that you can pull apart, and here I'm just literally ripping them up and placing them and super gluing them to the base. Also here you can see I've got like these cork stones. They do come in different sizes. I have large and small, and I'm just sprinkling these on, and you can use something like super glue thin to secure these into place. I also like to add little features such as like skulls or helmets or like maybe broken swords and stuff. Again, this is entirely up to you and how you want to display your mini. Then next up, you can get any sort of texture paint. This is AK Dark Earth. Again, it doesn't really matter due to that we are going to be base coating this and painting over it, so it doesn't really matter what colour you use. But this is one of my favourites. It's just because I do paint a lot of mine brown, and if I can't be bothered to go in and paint the base, I can just go over this and then dry brush it. But for this, I'm just getting literally lumps of it, slapping it on in places, and then manipulating it once it's actually on the miniature. And the good thing about it is as well, you can actually water it down. So if you get a bit of water on your brush, you can just manipulate that around your entire miniature. And if you do look, I do add a little bit onto plastic pipes at top and onto the bottom. This is just to create like natural weathering, as though it's sort of creeped up and got muddy and gone onto there as well. Now the first colour that we're going to use once we've primed our base is Yellow Olive by Vallejo. Now as you can see as I'm spraying it on, it's not actually really yellow at all. It's more along the lines of a greeny streak and grime sort of colour. And I'm just working my way around the entire of it, and it doesn't matter if you spray up onto pipes, onto some of the metals. When we go into our later phases, this is going to add a little bit of like weathering to his miniature, because it's going to show through a little bit, and it all just adds to the griminess of the base. And then next up we're going to get Burnt Umber once that has dried, and again we're just going to do this in patches because obviously I want some of that olive to show through, and we're just going to spray that all around our base, just working it into little areas and leaving little patches of the previous colour through it as well. And this just gives it a little bit of variation, and just separates it all and just adds to that more earthy look, because if you look at the ground, it's got a lot of different colours in it. And then next up, now we're going to move to the brush work. I've got Steel Legion Drab, and I've got a dry brush, and I'm just working my way around all the areas again, not being afraid to go onto some of the skulls and like the metal areas and stuff. Just literally dry brushing this all around the base of the miniature. And then as one last final highlight, I get a little bit of Wraithbone, and I mix that in 50-50 with this Steel Legion Drab, and again just lightly dry brushing certain areas that might be a little bit brighter, just to make them pop and stand out a little bit more. And then we're ready for our next phase. Now these next base coat colours, I'm just going to quickly fly through. The colours that you've just seen on screen are what I use for all the concrete and the pipes, and I'm just literally stippling this on and dry brushing them on, working my way up through those colours. I also do go on to some of the rocks and the stones, as though to break that up, as though it's a bit crumbled and little bits have landed in the mud. The steel, now I just quickly give everything a dry brush of Rungfang Steel. I know it's quite a bright highlight colour to start with, but we're going to dampen that down quite a lot as we get through it. So once you've dry brushed all that on, we're going to get the contrast paint Rattling Grime, paint that over the entire metallic areas, and then give it one final light dry brush of Wrongfang Steel in certain areas. And then to complete the base, I just literally went around with a few different techniques. I did like rust with the Dirty Downs rust. I even just got some Nurgle's rot and put that coming out the pipes, as you know, as I was like some sort of infection rot stuff's been coming through it, and just a case of going around and painting all the details like your helmets and stuff, whatever you might have on your miniature. Weathering powders, I do use them quite a lot. I really love using weathering powders for bases and then skipping a bit up onto the mini itself, and I've just added a little bit of flock, like a little bit of like burnt out grass, and then finally some AK puddles. And if you never use this stuff, I love it, especially coming out of the pipes here where it might have like leaks fluid or whatever's been going through the pipes. Just go around and it sort of, after a few hours, it sets really hard and makes it look like, you know, some sort of horrible ganky puddle has leaked out onto your base. Now for the Tyranid itself, for the main skin colour, I used a mix of these two Tamiya paints. I will list all the paints used in this video in the links in the description below, but if you've not got Tamiya paints, they're absolutely gorgeous. And I'll also put the alternatives, because I know not a lot of people like using airbrushes and stuff, but I will put the alternatives from other brands as well that you can use to achieve these colour tones as well. But I'm just working my way around all the skin areas, and what I'm going to do is each time I'm putting a new layer on, I slightly add a little bit of the like bleachy colour, and with each layer that I go up, I start to like put like a zenithal on it. So obviously I'm turning the miniature at this point and make sure I'm covering all areas, but when I get to like the final stages, I start to use it as like a zenithal to create some more nicer highlights, and you just work your way around. And the beauty of these Tamiya paints is they're so smooth, you can just build them up in small layers, and just keep going along that way, and it comes out such a nice smooth finish. And I know I keep saying it, but love Tamiya paints. If you've not got some, get some. Now once you've completed the skin areas, as you know with my Tyranids, I love to add a little bit of red into like all the joint areas, and I've just literally loaded up Carapace Crimson. Don't even have to thin it, with it being an ink, it just flies through the airbrush, lovely. And I'm just spraying all the joint areas, and then obviously on this Tyranid, he's got like, I call it his back cape, like this little skirt thing going off his back. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me on what it's actually called, and I start to spray into that as well, but just slowly building up these layers. Obviously I've lowered pressure a little bit in my airbrush, and just to build up certain opacities, so it's got a nice little transition around each area. Now moving on to his little back cape, I've got a dark red and a black. You don't have to use a specific brand for this. Any sort of dark red and black will work 50-50, and I'm just literally going in and spraying those areas as well. If you notice as well, because I've glued it to base, I've put a bit of tissue and cling film around my base so I don't get any overspray on there as well. Now the final thing to do, obviously as you can see here, all I've done is get some AK black, or if you're using Citadel you can use their like Abaddon black, and I've painted all the claws and all the bony areas and just gone over them overspray areas and just blacked them out. Before we move on to our next phase, which is the enamel wash. God, I said that weird. Enamel wash phase. Now I am using MIG Dark Brown Wash. I know there's a lot of confusion in my videos when I use this. I think it is discontinued. I can't be 100% because I know people are still being able to pick it up in stores and stuff. However, if you've not got this or can't find it, AK Dark Brown Wash is exactly the same. So just grab a little bottle of that and start working your way around the miniature. And if you wanted to, I mean, I've gone for a brownie. I normally use Streak and Grime, but I wanted to keep that like reddish warm tone with it, but Streak and Grime would work great as well. You get like a nice little different look. And all I've got is a little bowl of mineral spirits, and I'm just like, it's sort of a crevice wash, like a pin wash, but it's not, and I'm just applying it to the entire miniature, working my way around it. And then once it is dry, we get our old trusty cotton buds or sponges and start to wick that away, leaving it in the crevice areas. Next up on the skin, using AK Neutral Grey, I want a bit of texture on the skin, and the way I'm achieving this is by using like what we would for our chipping method. We're going to go around with a sponge and dry brush and our normal brush to edge highlight, but by using the sponge techniques, it adds a little bit of texture to the skin. and because like you're going over it and dry brushing it as well, it sort of like sits under the skin because you're building it up in different opacities. Along those lines, again, it like makes it look like there's mottling under the skin. And then as one final little addition to this, I didn't really spend too much time on the carapace because we've got like a streak and grime and stuff on there. It sort of already give it some texture and a bit of colour, and like with bits of overspray and stuff that we've had. But what I did, I got a little bit of dark red. Again, this could be like corn red or AK dark red. And again, I just got my dry brush and like his claws and his fingertips and certain parts of his carapace, I just dry brushed that onto there just to give it a little bit more visual interest and to keep with that like grey, dark and red theme that I went for with this deathleaper. And I think it just adds a little bit to it, I think. And like you can experiment with different colours with these as well, because again it just gives it a little bit of something more different, makes it look a little bit more menacing and separates it from the other Tyranids that you may have in your army. And then it's just a simple case of painting any other details that you might want to put on it, such as like your eyes, teeth and like little claw bones or anything like that. Just using like your bleach colours. The eyes, for my Tyranids, I always paint my eyes white and then get whatever colour I desire in a contrast paint and just go over that as well. One final addition I did add to this, if you do want to do it, is add like your blood, if you want to add some blood on. Obviously I got the Uhu glue and used my special technique of wet effects. It's not gloss varnish, I know I say this in every video, but if you did want to become a member, as a thank you for supporting this channel, you get instant access to that wet effects. So that's it guys, that is my Deathleaper. Apologies it's not been up to standard of my usual videos. I do apologise for that, as I think when we're being ill, I don't know with it, but I've managed to salvage this video together. So yeah, thanks for watching this. If you want to go check out some more different techniques and ways that I paint my Tyranids in the Grimdark style, then please head over to my channel and there'll be a ton of videos on there on how to get different effects and some other Tyranid models that I've painted. So again, I'd like to thank you all massively for coming along. If you really could, it'd help me out. Again, if you could just hit that like button, and until my next video, I'll catch you soon. Thanks guys.